Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in here on CE Pro. Today, I'm joined by Steve Brous of Sol-Lux, makers of motorized awnings and drop screens. And well, I'd say they're pretty excited to be talking about the spring selling season today. So, Steve, before we get to talking, I figure you can introduce yourself and explain in a little bit more detail what Sol-Lux does and what they offer for products.
Fantastic. Thanks for the opportunity, Nick. Yeah, I'm the national sales manager for Sol-Lux. We're actually part of a much larger company called Carefree of Colorado. So before I get into the details of our products, I just like to mention that we have over 50 years of experience in actually designing and building retractable awnings, specifically for the RV industry. And these products that you see that we're going to have available for our residential product line, comes with the same type of engineering expertise and quality. So we really have three primary categories of product lines. I call them retractable shading solutions. And really, the nice thing about retractable products in general is now you see them, now you don't. And so keep that in mind when you think about the type of shading solutions that are available to you out there. The first thing the three categories are patio awnings, window awnings, as well as solar what we call drop screens. Um, our patio awnings, the first one is really called the Mirage. It's really our flagship solution. It's anywhere between 15 to 21 feet in length with a full 12-foot extension. Just a massive, beautiful awning. One of the things that's nice about all of our patio awnings is they all come standard with the Somfy remotes and control motors, which basically give you the full integration to all the third-party, whole home automation solutions out there. But it also gives you that added quality, and durability and performance. The Mirage also comes with built-in LED lighting. And one of the things to keep in mind, yes, these type of products are really ideal for the summer, during the day when it's hot and you really want to be able to have a wonderful experience, and have shade outside. But with that LED lighting, it's also really the perfect, atmosphere creating solution with dimmable lighting. The next product is called Freedom, and it's the baby brother of the Mirage. But this product really gives you some additional unique capabilities in the sense that not only do we have an AC version with LED lighting, but it also has the ability to go solar with battery. So literally, you can take this completely off the grid. If you've got a pergola or a boat dock or something that, getting that AC power is going to be difficult, but you would love to have shade out in those locations. The Freedom is an ideal solution to give you full motorized convenience and control, even when there's no AC power available. Next, we have our window awnings, which are called Heos. And Heos is specifically designed proprietary by Sol-Lux to provide shading for windows. So patio awnings obviously shade people, provide UV protection for them and their furniture. But our Heos product actually is designed specifically to provide maximum shading and heat reduction for windows. So these come custom anywhere between 39 to 120 inches. So you can actually have a window awning that's 10 feet in length. They all come standard with a 2.5-foot extension, a 45-degree angle. Keep in mind that these are designed from the ground up to actually shade windows. So those are all standard features, but that's kind of where the standard stops. We actually offer over 192 different colors as far as casing. So it's really the ideal solution if people, want to have a retractable awning that will actually perfectly match their exterior colors, or if there's accents that they're looking to highlight. 92 different case colors, 72 different solid, Sombrella fabrics are available for that product. And I'll just mention, I'll be remiss if I didn't, is that what's really incredible about this product is it's totally autonomous. So in other words, it's got built-in battery, it's got built-in solar. Once you activate the battery, the solar panel keeps the battery charged, so there's no wires. And it also acts as a sensor so that it automatically opens and closes based on the amount of sunlight that solar panel is hitting. And then last but not least are what we call our Mirasol drop screens. These are the perfect solution for anybody that's got an outdoor patio area with a structure that gives us the ability to, completely, create a solar netted, enclosure to really extend their outdoor space, by giving them that solar protection, wind protection, as well as insect protection.
Hmm. So a really good spread of products across the spectrum, I would say.
Absolutely.
Now, as a vendor in this industry, do you have any tips to share with integrators on how they can find more opportunities to sell these types of products while on sales calls? Because I feel as though, at least within the custom integration category, and especially the audience at CE Pro, a lot of the guys, it's probably super easy to just go. It's like, oh, we'll extend the audio to outside, or we'll extend the video to outside. But these are definitely kind of like their own standalone products almost. Obviously, they can help accent stuff, but I don't think the average consumer is going to be thinking of that when they're getting, like a video system put outside.
No, that's a perfect example, and it really comes down to, really giving the support that our dealers need to know what to look for, right? So start by understanding these are shading products. They're designed specifically to extend the enjoyment of the outdoor, especially when it comes to people that love to entertain in their back patio area. And I would probably start there. When you're looking for outdoor opportunities, whether it's landscaping, what are you looking for? You're looking for somebody who's really particular about, how that landscaping looks. Well, if they've got a beautiful outdoor patio area with nice furniture, one of our patio awnings are just the perfect addition to give them, incredible, sun and UV protection during the day. But don't forget, with that LED lighting, it's also the perfect solution to create a whole new atmosphere, even for nighttime, entertainment. So, I would look for opportunities where you can already see customers, are investing and really want to have that enjoyment outside, but especially when it comes to window awnings. That's a really brand new category that I think customers get really excited about if you let them know what it is and what that product really is designed to do. Like I said, is to provide UV protection and keep certain rooms, especially the ones that have direct sun in the morning and or in the evening, helps keep them cool because we actually stop the sun from hitting the window. So the cooling factor of a Heos awning is actually even greater than that of just a standard solar shade for window coverings. So I just tell them to look for, rooms or windows, large rooms and windows that basically get a lot of morning or afternoon sun. And really the Heos product is perfect for those type of situations.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you find those, what are some when you find that interest or that opportunity, what are some sales techniques that integrators can use to kind of like really cinch it? Because gauging interest is one thing, but obviously being able to like actually get them to commit to a sale, completely different scenario.
Yes, so obviously, if you've seen a beautiful patio area, if you've identified windows that are getting a lot of sun. It really comes down to just questions, right? Hey, do you like to entertain outside? Does your outside patio area get too hot during the day for you to even really enjoy that space out there? And what about the evening? You're looking at potentially getting a beautiful sound system out there. You want to entertain at night. We offer another solution that's got built-in LED lighting, and when you open that up, again, it creates a beautiful atmosphere by creating that overhang. So I think the questions are really, do you like to entertain outdoors? Are there any rooms in your house that tend to get hotter than other rooms and tend to have a harder time cooling because of that morning or afternoon sun? And then from there, you've really got all of these incredible benefits of our products that solve those type of challenges and opportunities.
Now, going back to the Heos, because when I first saw that one, I was really struck by it just because it had kind of a cool, almost retro sort of design to it. The stuff that you would usually see on like houses in the '80s. Of course, back then those awnings were fixed, whereas this one is motorized. With that solar panel, does that mean you can basically just hook them up and you never have to worry about replacing the batteries on them?
That's correct. I mean, our Heos units, for example, come with a full 5-year warranty. They are completely wireless. They have a built-in battery that once that battery is engaged, installation, by the way, is super simple with what we call a French cleat. Um, I personally installed mine. I call it one man in a ladder. So the installation is really easy. But once you've engaged that battery, it'll do what they call a calibration of fully extending and then coming back in. And if you just leave the awning defaulted in terms of the factory defaults, it will automatically start opening and closing, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, all fully autonomous. Never have to think about it again. So we do have an app to give you manual control. If there were the reasons you wanted to open it up manually, and there are other settings like scheduling, which can bypass that autonomous feature, where you can manually say, "I want it to open every day at 7, close, at 7 in the evening." But its primary design is really to be completely carefree from an operational standpoint, and really just give the benefit of that super cool look, as well as shading properties.
And the other thing that I wanted to ask, when you were talking about them, you had mentioned they were completely autonomous, able to think on their own. But say somebody wanted to be able to hook them up to like a different control system, like maybe Lutron or Controlled 4, would that be a possibility to do with these?
So with our patio awnings, with the built-in Somfy motors, the answer is yes. Somfy offers Tacoma hubs, and there's also another company called the Bond. It's called the Bond Bridge Pro. Those provide full integration, giving you app control, and can then be extended to third-party automations. On the Helios side, we actually we operate and control that when we are controlling it. Keep in mind, it's designed to be autonomous through a Bluetooth, through an app on your phone. So there are some discussions with Bond to open up a Bluetooth, two-way communication with the awnings. So that might be something possible in the future. But keep in mind that the at least the Heos window awnings are really ideally, again, to be operated fully autonomous. So control is not quite as important.
Hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely understandable. Something like that. At the very least, when I think of smart home, I'm not blessed with the paycheck to be able to afford a lot of the smart home stuff. But to me, it seems the least amount of thought you have to put into it, the better it gets.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I mean, and that's the really the beauty of the autonomous feature of the Heos unit. There's even sensitivity adjustments for how much sun does it need to reach the solar panel for it to open. How little sun does it need to basically remain close or to close? So you can really customize it. I mean, most customers will just go with the default settings because they're really ideally suited. But you've got, extreme, situations where, you want to get in and maybe do some tweaking. The other thing I'll mention is all of our awnings, including Heos, all basically have what they call weather and wind protection.
Mhm.
So they basically have the capability of sensing wind through, when awnings are open, the wind starts to shake the awning. They actually have a shaker sensor that will automatically retract those awnings for protection, if it starts to get too windy outside.
That was the other thing that I was going to ask, because I know a lot of the people within the industry, they do a lot of work in Florida. Florida is a very big outdoor install space, and it is also probably one of the worst places to have fixtures outside.
Yes. Yeah, that's a perfect, reason why I think the retractable aspect of our products are also so appealing. In the CE Pro, industry, we a lot of the dealers are experts at hiding things, right? Invisible speakers, TVs that pop out of nowhere, so that you don't see them when you don't need them, and then you get the full benefit of those products when you do. And it really that our retractable awnings really are the perfect element to those type of solutions, because with that fully enclosed case, um, it really is nicely tucked away, fully protected from the weather, even during hurricanes. When you're not using them, and then they just open up to these beautiful, shading solutions. When you need them.
Yeah. The other thing I was kind of curious about is and you might have mentioned it and I just completely spaced out on it, but with the wind sensors to get them to retract a little bit, what are they sensitive up to? Because I'm kind of curious if it's like, say somebody is sitting outside during like a rainstorm and maybe there was like a little bit of a stronger gust than expected. Would it just suddenly kind of like start to retract, or is there a few other things at play with that decision making?
Excellent question. The one thing I will tell you is, these awnings, especially the patio awnings, they're giant. I mean, they're really, really large shading solutions, and they're fairly lightweight when you consider, that the fact that they have to retract into a small cassette. So they're really not designed for wind. They're not designed for rain. They're designed to provide shade.
Hmm.
That being said, typically when you do start to have rain, that usually accompanies wind. So, a lot of times, the product will actually pick up on that and retract itself. But I think customers do have to be aware that, you really don't want to, think of these as rain and weather protection, more so than sun. There's nothing quite out there that would give you 100% protection, with an open awning that all of a sudden, a 30 mile an hour wind gust comes.
Hmm.
Because I mean, when you think about it, an awning is a giant sail, right? So you got to be somewhat aware of that. But more normally, even here in Florida, things start to pick up nice and slow. And really these protection shakers, if you will, are really designed to protect against that kind of scenario.
Gotcha, gotcha. So a little bit of education for the dealers to maybe give to their clients when they're selling these sorts of things. Because I can think of so many people that would just look at it and be like, "Oh, there's a roof over my head. This should be fine for like anything."
Yes, yes. I think that's the key, is making sure that the dealers are educated and they're really sharing that knowledge with their customers, that, these are shading products, not thunderstorm or wind type of products.
Right. Well, one last thing while I got you here. We've talked kind of a little bit about pretty much the whole gamut except for the drop screens. Would you be able to go in a little bit more into detail over those?
Absolutely. So Mirasol is really, our brand for providing drop screens, which are just vertical drops, of specific screens that have different degrees of openness depending on what you're really looking to do. And they really come in two different flavors, either zip or line. So your zip type of drop screens, some, depending on the fabrics, right? You can have privacy screens, which will, literally, give you complete privacy on either end of that screen. There's also, the other extreme is really just insect screens that you can drop down in the evening to keep the mosquitoes and everything else out. But like awnings, they also tend to give you just a more closed, environment for more of an intimate setting, if you will. When it comes to the zip line type of solution, those are really more ideally suited for, customers that may have a house built up high, right? Where it gets a lot of direct afternoon or morning sun, depending on the orientation of that patio. And an awning isn't going to be a great solution for that because you can still see out. In fact, that's the one of the huge benefits of our Heos unit for window awnings is we give you all the shade, but we still give you the view. So the drop screens are really going to go all the way from the top straight down and give you that full solar shield experience.
Very nice. Well, Steve, I want to say thanks again for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you today.
Excellent. Thank you, Nick. I really appreciate the opportunity.
And to everybody watching, we hope you have a great start to your spring.